Hey, we are live.
Head swelling.
No. Hey, y'all. We are live. It's Sunday. Welcome. You know, I'm really happy about this episode because we've gotten so many questions and we've just noticed a pattern of hesitancy in leaving your home country because you have to learn a new language.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I remember you took your first and your last Spanish lesson with our guest.
Wasn't it like a lesson in a word?
It might have been a lesson in a word, but not much more.
And
why did you just only take one lesson?
I was scared. I was scared and I was nervous because I didn't want to look stupid. And she's a very beautiful woman, so no man wants to look stupid in front of a very beautiful woman.
So if she wasn't beautiful, you would have been all right with that?
I'd have probably been all right with it.
So do you regret not taking, like I've been taking Spanish, where are we? As of this month, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I should be 100% fluent, but of course I'm not because Spanish has about 1,500 different tenses of the verbs.
She's got it.
Mil.
I do regret it. And I regret it because being here in Portugal, you know, the language is different, but there's similarities to things. And you pick up a lot of things a lot quicker, or what people are saying, or the signs of what they are saying easier than I do because of your lessons in Spanish. So, yes.
And last night we went to the taco spot, y'all. And the young lady who works there is from Colombia. So once I found out she spoke Spanish, I just started communicating with her in Spanish because my Portuguese is like this, and then I pronounce everything incorrectly. But I feel confident, at least, you know, within the context of a restaurant, talking to her in Spanish, right? So that was cool. So we are going to give some tips for all of you who are hesitant about leaving the United States, leaving Canada, or some other English-speaking country. And you are hesitant because of the language barrier, especially if you're like over 40. Our next guest is going to be wonderful, and we're going to have a great conversation. She's going to give tips on why it might be easier to learn a language as an adult.
Yes. This I can use.
But first, we should introduce ourselves. You know, my name is Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Did you almost forget your name? Sound like you kind of hesitated.
This from the person who took one Spanish lesson.
And a word. One Spanish lesson and a word. You got to count the word in. Come on, be fair.
Y'all, my name is Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, travel, and retiring abroad as we build generational wealth. So who is our special guest today?
Our special guest is Laura. Why are you looking like that?
I'm waiting for the rest.
Larez.
Laura Larez. Okay, of AEP Spanish, yes. But first, if you are new to our channel, then I want to tell you, because this living abroad thing has been a blessing in our lives, but we did not think it was always possible. About 7 years ago, we were getting close to retirement age. We looked at our money and it looked crazy.
Crazy.
Right?
Crazy.
Yes. But about 4 years ago, we got our financial act together and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1 million in net worth, not cash, babies, not cash, net worth. And I'm saying that because you guys know what our last video was. And if we could do it, you could do it too. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know every single time we drop a new video.
Yes.
All right. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our special guest. Add her to the stream. Hola, Laura.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Hola. Muy bien. ¿Y ustedes? ¿Cómo están?
You know, un poco cansada. I'm a bit tired because I took a nap and I probably should not have taken a nap.
So
So
fun.
we introduced you, but I think you can introduce yourself better. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, well, hello. My name is Laura Larez, and well, I'm being teaching Spanish for almost 4 years right now. I started before the pandemic started, and it basically exploded during the pandemic. A lot of people start doing it during the pandemic. Actually, I met Halisi in that time, and yeah, I think in this process I will learning a lot also about English because I totally know the feeling about people is going to think I'm stupid and sounds funny or I say weird stuff, but well, my English is very far to be perfect, but I think the thing we need to start doing is just talking. I think a good thing about Spanish is I don't want to say people is not going to make fun of you. Totally the opposite. The people is going to start making fun of you, but they are your friends. This is a very good indicator. And okay, I'm in a group of friends because maybe when we are, far of these, the people is very maybe they don't say anything to you, but when you are really in a group of friends, they start making fun of you or they start saying things that you are saying wrong on purpose. So I think this is very funny about our culture because we don't are respectful at the beginning, but then when we are really friends, we start. So I think, well, replying for this I think it's necessary to lose the fear, and that's also what I do. I just lose the fear of talking in English, even when I know my English is perfect. Also, I think that helps to the people. People can say, "Okay, she's here speaking in English or teaching Spanish, even her English is not perfect." So I think that can encourage people to say, "Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway."
So we're going to say hello to the people in the audience, but I have to ask. I have to ask because you said, when we're still kind of like strangers, we're very polite and
Yeah,
all of that, right? But
yeah,
when we get to know you, that's when we start making fun of you. We
yeah.
call we call that trash talk.
Hmm.
Talking trash.
Yeah, yes.
Hablando basura. So is it a black thing or is it a Latin thing? Because in America, it's a black thing.
Well, I think it's a Latino thing. I think we really don't. We are very polite at the beginning. Well, you can remember maybe at the beginning of our lessons, I was like, "Oh no, maybe you should this blah blah blah," and now I say like, "What are you trying to say? That's totally wrong." And now it's more now it's more well you can maybe remember when we start was more yeah this that, but now when we are more and we also like yeah you say this and you're trying to say this, so yeah, I think it's a Latino thing. We do it a lot. I mean, maybe it depends the Latino country because say Latin American is like say USA. I mean, it's not the same people from New York or from Louisiana. It's totally different a person from Mexico or from Argentina. But I think it's a characteristic that we all have them. We start making fun of our friends. It's more like yeah, it's very
Okay.
very
It's definitely not common. I don't think it's common in Inglaterra. I just get the feeling that in Britain they're just very,
Very proper.
very
The
proper.
King's English.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so let's see who's in the audience. Hello, Auntie
Auntie
Trey is the
Trey,
first one.
hey.
OBU family, glad to be a part of the live today. We're glad to have
Yeah,
you.
good to have you.
Yeah, see, my eyes are watering because I was laughing so hard, and now the makeup is running. Y'all, it's gonna be one of those kind of shows. I can with makeup, smudging, and everything else. Hello, Auntie Trey. Valerina,
Hey,
gonna catch this on the
Valerina.
recap. You have a great life. Thank you,
Oh,
Valerina. We
yeah.
appreciate you checking in. Hey, Kareen.
Hello, hello from the Bahamas.
Is it Serene or Kareen? New name. Welcome.
Both are pretty.
Yeah, definitely pretty. Yeah, you might have been a bit early. Yeah, 8:10. You were a bit early. So we start. Oh, well, that's not 8:10. 10 after the hour, I should say. We start at 30 after the hour. So depending upon where you are, 3:30 Eastern time, 8:30 p.m. our time.
yeah.
Yeah, y'all, it's late.
Yeah.
Hello, Eleanor. Good to see you.
Hello,
Action
hello.
VJ.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I saw this thing earlier. I'm going to get myself in trouble.
You
So.
saw him singing last night.
Did you
Action
post
VJ.
that?
I posted it. You saw him singing last night, right?
Disregard that.
So
I was drunk.
no, he wasn't. He had only had one beer. He was not drunk. So yes, hit the like button as you come in. Thank you, Action VJ. We appreciate that. Hey, Vicky, good to see you. Diane, good to see you. Our new Greta.
Hey, Greta.
You're gonna always be our new Greta. You say Greta number 2. No, our new Greta.
Our new Greta.
because Greta is, I mean, it's not really a common name, right?
No.
Like
not like you would think.
No, we're used to hearing it, but I don't, like, you two are the only Gretas I know. It seems like I had an Aunt Greta in my family, but I don't remember. Maybe I should remember. Hey, Mary, good to see you. And Maria, Vanessa, good to see you in the chat. Diane, and our first Greta.
Midlife money moves. Greta.
Hey there. Hey, high five. Good to see you. Aurora C. Is it Aurora like the stars or Aurora like, I was about to say Aurora, Colorado. No, you're from Rockland, New York. Yeah, if you're watching from the future, hello. Let us know where you are logging in from. And Alexandria is on the West Coast. Oh, Aurora, see, you got it. Okay, good. Looks like you guys know each other. Hey, Jazzy Old Chick and Kay Stewart. We've got Regina, Nubianette. Didn't I see you earlier over at Rashida's channel? And I know I saw Glass Half Full.
Hey.
The Wall Street Journal article will probably bring new people.
That'd be nice.
I think, Alexandria,
I think we're getting some. Too.
I think we got an increase in subscribers on Sunday when the Wall Street Journal article came out. And so, yeah, I think you might be right about that. Hey, Christy, good to see you. Lynn Bend, new name. Welcome. Hey, Killer Queen, good to see you. Katrina, Valerie, Professor, Catherine, In My Travels, Marguerite. Nice to see all of you guys. Lady Srita, yeah. That looks like a new name too. Welcome. Hola, everyone. Hola to you too. Hey, Pinky. Hey, Rui.
Rui, how you doing, Rui?
Good to see you.
It's time for those snails.
Yeah. So here, Laura, in May and June and July, escargot.
But if they're called something different.
They're carcoish.
Caracoles.
That's what you call them? Let's see. What is it in caracoles? It's similar in Portuguese. Rui, if you could write it in the chat. But they're small. They're really small. But they have bigger ones.
I saw a plate full of big ones too.
And they sell them like big bowls full. And with cerveza. No.
Put some garlic.
No.
Some garlic butter on them
suckers. Garlic, they're nice. They're nice with garlic.
It is an insect. Do you eat crickets?
I ate ants in Colombia once.
See?
And?
Yeah, they're nice. They're okay. Yeah.
It tastes like chicken?
They taste like nothing. Well, the ants taste more like popcorn because they put some salt on it. They are crispy. They have no taste.
To them.
Yeah.
I see. You cannot tell me what I'm eating before I eat it. Maybe if I just try and I'll go, okay, not bad. But if I know what it is, I can't do it.
She gets the gag reflex.
I cannot do it. Okay, Howard, before we get into language, hey Phyllis A.
Howard,
hey, yes. Hey Mel and T, good to see you guys in the chat. Hello, everyone. Okay, before we get to it, I want to go ahead.
I saw my mom is in the comments, so hi mom. My mom is Lucila. Hi mom.
Oh, yay!
From Venezuela. Hi mom.
I love it. I love it.
I love his mom.
And Adelia's been taking, so she's Picky Girl Travels the World. She has been taking Spanish at least 3 years longer than I have, if not 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And she says she cannot speak Spanish.
Okay. Maybe it's
I
because
don't
she don't
I
speak.
I don't believe her. I don't believe her.
Okay.
I don't believe her. So, and when she was here in Portugal, I didn't speak Spanish with her. I should have. And so I could see how much better she is than me. She was a teacher. I know she's just
Okay.
being hard on herself. I think that's what I
Probably.
think.
Oh.
But anyway, so before we get to the language, I want to talk. So you are in Venezuela right now,
Yeah, I'm in Venezuela right now. Sí.
but let's talk about all of the different places that you have been. So when I met you, you were living in Colombia.
No, when you met me, I was in Venezuela in that moment. Then I
Oh, that's
was,
right.
yeah, it was during the pandemic. Porque fue
Right.
durante,
And you got stuck.
yeah, I got stuck during the pandemic because I used to live in a sailboat with my ex-boyfriend, and yeah, we lived in the sailboat for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and yeah, we've been in many islands in the Caribbean, also well, Panama, Colombia. I don't know the name of all of them in English. Guadalupe,
Okay.
Las Granadinas. Yeah, we've been in a lot of them. Then, well, he is now in Colombia. He's still in there, in Cartagena. Cartagena is a very beautiful place. And yeah, and I think the last month we also saw some lessons from Germany because I was in Germany, and also been in, well, I've been in Spain for only for one day. I've been in USA 1 month ago.
Wow.
Also, I was in Miami. Yeah, I've been. I'm very lucky. I travel kind of a lot.
And Cyprus.
Yeah, Cyprus. Yeah, Chipre. Yeah, Cyprus too. And Turkey also. I've been in Istanbul in that travel when I've been in Europe. Yeah. I met.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very
So
lucky.
how come you did not let the language? Do you speak Turkish?
Of course not. No, it's a very complicated language.
Can you even read the letters?
No.
Right? Okay.
It's very hard language.
Do you speak German?
No. Well, a few words I can say hello, good afternoon. Yeah, bitte, danke. That's all my German.
And then you were in Spain. Did they understand you?
Yeah. People in Spain, we understand even, yeah, we use a different, the language, they have different conjugation for, because we don't use, for example, the vosotros, that is a informal plural, you. And we don't use it in Latin America. Yeah, they have the conjugation, and they have also, little slangs proper for the place. But yeah, we understand each other very good.
Because the Brazilians, I don't know how well they understand Portuguese and vice versa. I know some they say we don't understand. So I think it's interesting if you speak the same language, why don't you understand?
Well,
Um,
that's interesting because Brazilian people understand very good Spanish. Maybe it's because they are surrounded by all the Spanish speaker countries, but yeah, they understand very good us, better than us understand them.
how about the rural areas of Peru?
I understand, yeah, Peru.
I
Yeah.
remember you saying they were saying something like da 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 da.
No, that is
Okay.
Chilean people.
Oh,
People
it was
from
Chile.
Yeah, people from Chile, they speak fast, and yeah, this is not. It's different. Also, I don't know many people from Chile, and it's a lot of jokes also on the internet from all Latin American speakers making fun of Chile because they speak. Kachai, you understand that only the kachai at the end of the sentence, like, no, I don't get it. I don't know what you're saying. Yeah.
Katay is, do you get it?
Kachai, como,
Kachai.
yeah, capici in Italy, something like that. Is kachai? I don't know. I don't, yeah. It's the only word when they speak fast, you can understand it then.
Wow.
See, and the reason why I'm asking you about this is because I want people to understand that even someone, in my opinion, you speak at least 2 languages well. Well, of course, you speak Spanish,
Yeah.
but you speak English well enough to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Karakoish, karakoish. Those snails.
Caracoles.
Karakoish.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Thanks, Rui.
I'm not doing it. Rick was singing but held on to his beer for dear
Oh,
life.
hell yeah. You know it.
So last night we went to karaoke, Laura.
Ah,
Yes, yes. And he sang 2, 3, 4 songs. Usually I have to put more wine, give him more wine, and then he will start singing. I have been taking Spanish on and off since I was in college, 1974 to 1978. Here, not many people speak Spanish. Whereas here, I have been to Costa Rica for total immersion. Then I come home and forget everything. That is difficult. So that is a good segue into start talking about learning a language as an adult. So what would you say? I mean, the biggest thing is I'm too old to learn. It's too late. What would you say to someone who said that?
well, I think never is too late, because actually the thing I said, we were talking about this, it's not more hard for adults. Maybe, and this is true, and it's not me saying this, experts say this. You need exactly the same amount of time for learn a language as a kid and as an adult. It's not a different. The difference is kids have more time than adults. That's a fact. Kids have all the time they want for learning everything. I mean, kids are learning the whole day. Is what they do. But us as adults, we have some advantage, and we talk about that we know why we are learning a language, and the kids don't have that advantage. Kids are learning a language because their parents said you have to learn this language and it's going to be good for you, and they're like, why is going to be good for me? And so they don't have a really goal when they are doing this. They maybe they can see it, but maybe they don't care also. But I think never is too late, because you need the same amount of time, you need the same amount of effort, and sometimes you have the advantage that you know how to study, you know how to do it, you know how to look for resources. Also, you being honest, you are using your money to learn a language. So you say, okay, I am using my money for this. I'm gonna pay attention because it's my money. Kids is like, well, I do it or not, or yeah, I really don't care, because we don't need this effort to do it. So, and this thing is very common. He said this total immersion and then forget everything is super common because you need to use it. But today we have this advantage to, you can do immersion at home. You can change your phone for Spanish, as you already do.
Yeah.
You can watch the TV on Spanish. You can listen to the news. You have YouTube. You can watch whatever you want. Even if you don't have so many interaction in Spanish, you can talk to yourself in Spanish. For example, something yesterday I went here with some friends and I cooked something, and it was funny because I forget in Spanish the name for mushrooms or onions, because when I cook, I talk to myself in Spanish and I say, I'm cutting the onions, I'm frying the onions. So I say that things to me all the time because I already know this thing in Spanish. I don't need to say it to me in Spanish. So the way to do an immersion at home is this, talking to yourself. Say to yourself the things you are thinking in Spanish. So it's a way to keep the language, to try to don't forget the vocabulary. Maybe you do grammar mistake, but it doesn't matter because you are, I think bad is better than nothing. So a bad Spanish lets you communicate better than not Spanish at all. So you can correct from bad, but you cannot correct for nothing. So I think this is a good thing to the people who think they cannot speak because they are so far from people who speak Spanish. I think they can do it. You have a lot of resources today to practice.
So I love that because now, so one of the things that you told me when we first started is, Halisi, you need to start thinking in Spanish. So you said when you cook, you think in Spanish, but really you meant to say you think in English, right? Because so you couldn't remember the name of onions in Spanish. Now, here we have like a social security number. And I say it's like a social security number because we give it out at every store
Yeah.
and people can hear us give the number. But in the United States, you do
You
not.
don't give your social security.
Oh,
Because they will steal your identity. But here, I guess there's so many other things that you have to do to steal an identity that, you know, you give the number out. I only know my number in Portuguese.
oh, okay.
I don't know it in Spanish. I mean, in English.
English, yeah.
So, if someone asks, if I'm not saying the number correctly or my accent is bad and they go in English, it's like, I'm going to have to pull it up. I don't know. I don't know. It's memorized in Portuguese.
In Portuguese, that's nice.
But when I walk around and I look at things, because I have you in my head, think in Spanish. So now I'm doing two, los dos. In Portuguese, I am walking. And in English, in Spanish, I am walking. Of course, Spanish is easier because it's an easier language.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say anything more. I was about to start talking bad about Portuguese. I will be nice. But this is true with any language, right? So whether you're learning Spanish or Portuguese or French or Greek or Italian, if you can then start when you're going around your daily life, I am making up the bed, but you say it in the new language. I am putting the pillows on the bed. I am putting on my shirt. I am putting on my pants. And and then what I do, if I can't remember it, I stop what I'm doing right there, pull up my app and look for the word that I can't remember. And okay, I don't allow myself to just say it in English. I make sure that I look it up. And my phone has been in Spanish for years now, or for 3 years.
Yeah.
So I know the words dealing with a phone. and it's the little things.
Yeah, that stack up.
They start adding up.
Totally. Yeah,
Okay.
Totally. That's the way.
So what other tips would you give? I'm going to start getting to the questions here, but what other tips would you give for folks who are learning a language as an adult?
Well, I think the most important thing is don't get up so easily, because sometimes people think, oh, it's too hard, it's too much, it's two things too hard, I have to learn. And I think, yeah, I'm not gonna say, yeah, you can learn a language in 1 week, because there's a lot of videos saying, yeah, you can learn in 1 month. It's a lie. And I think this is a problem with us, because now with all this social media, we have everything immediately, and it's not possible. You need to build the language. Even if you really think about it, you never finish to learn a language. Even your native language, you never know all the words, you never know all the meanings.
Right.
So I think a very good thing to start when you start learning a language is to don't try to say, oh, I want to learn and I'm gonna be perfect. No, forget about that. Forget about trying to be perfect. Forget about to try to, I'm gonna achieve to be speaking in any amount of time. Just take your time. Also, other thing too, and it's very common, like Rick says, is that people is ashamed to sound stupid or to sound silly. And this is a thing we can learn from kids. The kids don't care. They don't take personally when you say, no, you're saying that wrong. Actually, a few days ago, last week, I was with my little nephew. He's 2 right now. And it's a verb to is complicated in Spanish. It's the verb caber, to is to fit inside of something. And this verb is irregular. And I said, I was playing with him to put it in a suitcase and take it with me. And he said, I don't fit in, but the conjugation is irregular. And so he said, no cabo. And I say, no, it's not cabo, it's kepo. And he looked at me like, no, cabo. Like, I'm sure. I know what I'm saying. He don't say in his brain, like, I know the first person always ends in O, and I need to remove this letter and that. He don't know all these grammar rules, but in his head makes sense. The verb caber is cabo. So he repeat, cabo. And I say, no, It's kepo. So he think a little bit, and I said, okay, kepo. And he's not asking to me like my adult student, like, but why? What is the reason? Because this verb says, if the other verbs, I do this conjugation and it works like that, and what it's like that. Okay, it's like that. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it like this because it's like this. And sometimes and I have mistakes too when I am learning English. Sometimes things makes no sense, and I try to see what is the reason. And sometimes it's not reason. Language, they are not a line of stuff to words because of this. Sometimes it's weird and that's it. And
Right.
as an adult, sometimes it's very hard to just say, okay, just because. And I think this is something we need to just release, let it be. It's like that, just learning like this. Some things are easily to understand when you know the reason. That's true. But some things have no reason, and you need to be in peace with something have no reason, and just learning like that. So I think it's a very thing. I think we can learn for kids. Don't be ashamed to sound silly. Don't try to understand why for everything, because some things have no reasons. And yeah, just to know it's a process. And I think it's necessary to enjoy the process, not because it's more a path you are doing. It's the way you are doing. It's not a goal to arrive to a place when you. No, it's just a learning process. And enjoy that process.
Yeah.
That is so important because, especially for Americans, North Americans, because we're all Americans on this channel. United States will think they're the only America, but they're not, right? But in the United States, we are so it's all about getting here so I can be, then I will be happy. I will be happy when right?
Yeah.
What is that? When I make $1 million, when I lose 15 kilos, when
When I master the language.
when I master Spanish and I am fluent. And, it was humbling to go to Mexico last July, where they speak muy rápido, and they have a different accent than Laura.
Yeah.
And I realize how slowly you speak to me now. Because when you get excited and you speak fast, just like as you were speaking English very fast, you speak Spanish fast. I was like, oh, she slows it down for me. I got to stop patting myself on the back. I don't understand as well as I think I do. But in context, y'all, in context, if someone's just walking down the street talking on the phone, and I can catch words here or there, but I might not be able to put the whole thing together. But if I am at the taco stand, and I say that because we went every day to the taco stand, every day, unless we had leftovers from the day before, then it's every other day. But at the taco stand, when we went to get copies made.
We were there so much, I think we were teaching them English.
Maybe. We had too many tacos.
We had a lot of tacos.
So when we went to the place, the papeleria for copies, or went to the doctor, we did that in Mexico. And I had to talk to the person at the desk who did not speak English. The doctor spoke English, but he didn't. And so in all of these situations, I could communicate well enough to get the thing done.
Mm-hmm.
No one looked at me like, huh? What are you saying? No one looked at me like that. And I know that I know, because when I get excited, I get nervous and I start losing my words. But I know that my Spanish was not perfect. But I was able to communicate. And I think that we need to show ourselves grace.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Show ourselves grace and be patient with ourselves, and don't expect for us to be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You're not going to know it overnight. You're not going to know it in a week. I mean, unless you just have one of those photographic
Memories,
that
right.
type of mind to do it. But there's not a lot of people that can do that. So,
right.
And we beat ourselves. I beat myself every Tuesday. I stress, because every Tuesday is
Portuguese
when I'm having
day.
Portuguese lessons. And I stress until we start the lesson. Then it all comes, and then I relax myself. It's like, okay,
He gets in a bad mood.
I do.
He's snappy. He's short with me. He's like, "What?"
Well, I'm not that intense. No.
Yes, he is. All because he's going to have a Portuguese lesson with someone that we pay to listen to us mess up her language. And her job is to correct us and help us learn
Yeah.
it. So why he gets nervous, and
I
plus
have no idea.
Laura and Elsa are both young enough to be our kids.
True.
So that means they have to respect their elders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not tell us we sound stupid.
Not tell us we sound stupid.
I do not understand the words coming out of your
Yeah.
mouth right now.
So
Yeah, but that feeling is very common. And I say what the people, when they feel, oh, I'm gonna sound stupid, is, and they're gonna make fun of me. You need to think, what do you think about a person to maybe make fun of a 2 years old, like, cannot pronounce? I mean, say, ah, you're an idiot, you cannot pronounce words. And it's like, what kind of idiot do that to a kid? And you're basically that in this point. I mean, and of course, I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, everybody's gonna be friendly and everything is gonna be nice. But if somebody makes fun of you in a bad way, they are the problem. And I think a lot of people who are learning English, we have, and I'm talking from this side, we have that scare because we all the time hear that American hates that we don't speak the language, or they say things to you, speak in English, you are in USA, and things like that. So I think the people who is learning Spanish thinks that it's going to happen in here. And maybe the people look at you funny and they laugh, but they are always try to help.
Yeah.
And at least in my experience, the people, but well, also I don't know so many of these kind of Americans that you see in these crazy videos, and they are insulting a Latin person because they don't speak English. But I think when you saw those videos, what do you think? Oh, that person is right. That this Mexican should speak English because he's an idiot because he not kind of speaks English. Nobody think that. We saw those videos and say that person is an idiot. Why you are judging somebody who doesn't speak a language? So that's the way we need to think when we are learning a language. Is nobody's making fun of me, and if somebody make fun of me, they are idiots because I'm doing my hard at my best and trying hard. I'm doing all this process. So if they make fun of me, it's their problem, not me. They are the bad people, not me.
Exactly. And we found that here in Portugal as well, or in Lisbon at least, oh no, Portugal, everywhere we've been so far, if we try, people are happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by trying to speak the language. So Rui says, did you guys hear Portuguese spoken outside Lisbon? Porto, Alentejo, Algarve is different. Oh, like in Spain, Catalan or can't
Oh, it's totally
Catalan
different language though.
is different from Spanish. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think they speak that in Barcelona.
In Barcelona, yeah, they speak Catalan. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. But yeah, so when you were in Germany, because you were there for quite a while,
Well, yeah,
like a month, 2 months, right? Like
yeah,
I'm
like
not
2 months.
not like
Yeah.
an American vacation of 5 days.
Yeah, exactly.
So you go to the grocery store. Did you speak English or did you try to speak a little bit of German?
I speak English the most of the time. I mean, because German is well, like in English, but maybe I have more contact with English. But German is very hard for me right now. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn for less than 4 months, and not very seriously because right now I'm building the page and working because adults have more things to do. But yeah, in Germany, a lot of people speak English, especially for little interactions. Maybe, but they speak at a really good level of English. The basic things I can say in German again are I know some a few words. I cannot conjugate very good, but German have so many consonants. They have so many consonants together, and it's for a Spanish speaker, it's very hard because we are totally the opposite. Actually, I sometimes I make fun of my boyfriend because he cannot pronounce vowels together, and that's a very common for people who have this language with many consonants. For example, like we was saying about my name is Laura with this and we pronounce each vowel separately. Other word all the time is hard for people is aceite, that means oil, because have these vowels together, or European in Spanish, europeo. So people struggle with the vowels. For us, it's the totally opposite. When we have so many consonants together, it's like that. That's impossible to pronounce. We cannot pronounce consonants. Consonants have no sounds for us. So for me, it's being hard in that way. But I can say, yeah, little things like thanks, you're welcome, or please, where is the bathroom? And water, please. I want this. The kind of stuff I can say it in German because I speak with my boyfriend in English mainly.
So, would you not move to a country because of the language?
Me? No. Well, I like also this thing of nomad thing to kind of because of my work I can travel. I don't need to stay in a place. But no, I totally moved to another country, even if they speak another language, especially because it's the kind of an adventure, to learn these things, and also the way you connect with people when you are the new one, the one who is learning stuff, and you can saw that on YouTube. Especially in Latin America, I think we are very friendly with people who is trying to learn our language. Maybe because the history we have with USA, we are like afraid. Oh, they make fun of me or those things. But I think in general, people is very nice in the most of the world. People is very nice and try to help you. You are trying.
Yeah.
I think so. No, I just not to avoid me to go to another country just because I don't speak the language.
Exactly. I think it's an adventure too. Speaking to yourself is a great idea, especially when you are nervous speaking to others, right? Not soon enough? Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been acquiring about 10 languages in January till now, and about 4 of them have been my primary focus. I agree with her that talking to yourself helps. Okay, Rosanna, friend. First of all, welcome, new name. What are these 10 languages? Oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I got my chest poked out because I'm learning Portuguese and Spanish at the same time. 10 languages? 10 languages. Oh my gosh. I speak English and Spanish, and I'm now trying to learn Korean. Wow, Tiz. Welcome.
Wow.
Another new name. I learned as a child, but now learning a language as an adult is difficult. Why? Why is it difficult for you? But then again, like, if you grew up speaking English and Spanish and now you're learning Korean, it's like, are you having to learn the new lettering system as well? I mean, if you, instead of Korean, if it were Italian or another Romance language, would you find
Would
it
it be difficult?
as difficult as Korean?
Korean grading system is not that hard. I mean, it's not like Chinese or Japanese. Korean is kind of because it's not a natural one. The Korean. I mean, I don't speak Korean or I cannot read, but it's not like learn writing in Chinese, for example. I think Korean have this advantage. Now this artificial one. They have this artificial system that is more easy to learn, but yeah.
It sounds to me like it's a newer language.
Yeah.
No, not the language, the writing system.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the writing system is, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, they always said Mandarin is very difficult to learn.
Yeah.
I don't know because I will not be learning it.
You might.
I will not be learning it. Most of the people who speak Mandarin naturally in their country are not interested in me learning their language. So yeah, right? 10 languages. Oh my God.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I give you kudos too.
Does anyone know how to get the article? Killer Queen without subscribing. Yes. If you are in our Facebook group, they say how to do it. You have to put archive in front of it or something like that. And the link that's in the Fire Over 50 Facebook group. So if you're from the diaspora and you don't have to be over 50, but you're interested in financial independence, please join our Facebook group. Information is in the description below. And the link in the Facebook group should work, Killer Queen. Okay, after taking Portuguese lessons for a year, I was surprised that I started most of my conversations in Portuguese.
Wow. Cool. That's cool.
There you go. And then say, I am learning. Yes, which is this, it's the same in Spanish. The words are the same. I'll say it like apenas. It's the same. Just pronounce it in Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shushes.
Yeah, a lot of shishes. Well, yeah. People underestimate how long it takes to become fluent in a language. Indeed. And I think that we put too much pressure to be fluent when really what we should be trying to do is be able to make friends, communicate, and do our, business every day with the banks and whatnot. As opposed to being fluent and perfect, because even, being able to speak it without having to think and then being able to write it properly are two different things. Like to be able to write it for business or write it for scholarly work, that's much different than just speaking and learning how to say, like Laura teaches me all the bad words.
Yeah, those ones are more hard to find on the internet.
And
made YouTube videos about it.
and the different ones that are Venezuelan, Colombian,
Yeah,
Mexican.
And sometimes some things are bad words in one country and or bad expressions, but they are not that bad in other countries. So yeah, Latin America is very big.
Okay.
For a male, would it be better to have a male instructor or tutor? Can I emulate his accent, pitch, and tone? Do you have male students?
Yeah, I have male students. Yeah, I have a lot of students, males and females. They are. I think for the question he is asking in here is you can do that, but not necessarily with your instructor. You can do it from YouTube videos. Maybe actually, I highly recommend this guy from we all almost always talk about here. Bilingual blogs. He started looking videos, and for a long time, I think he was from Dominican Republic. And one day she said, "No, I'm from Chicago. I have no Latin family." Like, what? Who you get that accent that good? But you cannot copy only one person because if you think about it, you don't copy your father to speak like the way you talk. Maybe you have actors that inspired some vocabulary. Maybe you copy also friends and etc. So I don't think it's necessary to have one person copy because you cannot copy a person and their tone or expressions. It's more like I think you have to get, we say like como casate, like get married with one Spanish that you like. Maybe you say, oh, I really like Colombian Spanish. I really like Venezuelan Spanish. I really like Argentinian Spanish, and start watching videos about them. Watch movies. Watch why, and what about their culture you like? Because it's very easy to say Spanish, and it sounds like okay, but Spanish is very rich and very differently in, and the culture is very different. As I say, it's not the same being Mexican or being Argentinian. It's not the same. Even it's not the same being Colombian from the coast or from the center of the country. It's not the same being Venezuelan from Caracas or from Zulia. It's totally different, and we use different words with these different expressions. So I think you should look for. Oh, I really like these people because whatever, and start looking for videos about that. Other thing that is very good to learn a language is, I think it's very well. I teach Spanish, so I think it's very important to learn grammar and things like that. But I think it's kind of boring, being honest. It's not the thing you say, oh yeah, today we are going to look conjugation. I'm going to read one by one by one. It's very boring. And a better way to learn is look for things that you like from people that you like. So don't try to learn Spanish only watching videos about learning Spanish or any language. try to look videos. For example, I like a lot to sewing. So when I start learning to sew and to embroidery, I start looking videos in English to learn how to do it. So actually, I know a lot of vocabulary for the stitches that I don't know in Spanish, because I really don't speak about that in Spanish too much. So learn things that you like in the language that you want to learn, or things that you already know, because that also, maybe you already know how to cook a very good easy pasta. You already know how to do it. So look somebody who is cooking pasta. So you are not so pressured to the grammar, that it's just they are doing this, and you understand by context, and don't push yourself so hard to understand every single word. Understand the context, understand some of the words, because sometimes the people get stuck because they listen a thing, but they listen one word. I don't understand that word, so I block totally. I don't understand anything else. No, continue. Maybe that word is not that much important. Maybe it's just a little adjective. Maybe it's only something to be more emphatic about something. So you need to just try to continue listening. So, but yeah.
I don't think you gave me that tip.
Yeah, I did. Of course. And also,
So,
I remember, because before you start this channel, we were talking a lot about financial stuff. I recommend you some channels about that. I remember I recommend you a guy from Bolivia to have a really good tips about that. And also
oh, yes.
now you remember.
So one of the things I have to give Laura credit for, because I had another Spanish tutor. At one time, I was taking 4 hours of Spanish per week, 2 from Laura. I wanted more, but she was so booked up. She had no room for me.
In that moment, yeah, was yeah.
She had
During
no
the
room for
pandemic was
me.
more hard.
Yes. And so I got another tutor from Bogota, Colombia. And she was a professor. So everything was, but maybe every 3 months I come to Laura and I say, guess what I'm doing now? And I'm doing Etsy. And then when we started getting our money together and I started talking about finances, and of course, y'all know that I worked in politics. And so every single time I would bring up a new subject, maybe the next week, she comes with videos for me to watch on that subject matter. That's how good Laura is. So if you want to take, if you're interested in Spanish and you want to take Spanish lessons, you got to check out Laura. Her information is in the description below, and I will put it in the chat. She is offering a discount for the first 50 people who sign up with her, and then after that is gone. So if you're watching this from the future, you can try. If the discount code is not working, you know why. Yeah, because you don't catch us live. That is why. So I am going to grab this information and put it in the chat right now. So if you are interested in Spanish, there it's in the chat. Okay, let me get back to these questions. So, and so the great part about that, you guys, is that, I have vocabulary for finance. I don't use that as often, so sometimes I forget some of it, but it comes back. I have a vocabulary for politics. And if any of you have ever hired a translator, then it's important to give them a script ahead of time, because the assumption that they know all of the vocabulary that you're going to be using for that specific subject matter is an assumption.
Right.
And they don't always know it. So, and which is true for us too. Like if we had to have, where was I? If we had to have a conversation about medicine, well, I don't know all of those words. I don't know all of those words. Okay, here we go. I should have looked at the time. If we aren't ready to sign up for a class, what is the best way to begin learning vocabulary and verb tense?
Yeah. Reading. Reading is I think we already mentioned it in this. At one point, you need to learn grammar, and you need to learn if you want to speak the best way possible. And the good thing to do that is that at one point you need to, yeah, read some structures. But yeah, watch videos about things you like. That's the best thing you can do. And maybe things that you don't like, very, very simple things. I mean, YouTube is full of so many silly things. You can find videos that how to drink water. So you can find a person to say, yeah, you need a glass, you need a jar with water, and you need to pour the water inside and then put it in your mouth. And yeah, so you can look videos about everything you want. And it's a
Mm.
good way to learn vocabulary, learn conjugations, because the people using it when they are talking. So it's a way to take the language. But also, we need to keep in mind, learn language is not a passive activity. Again, it's a lot of programs and things that say, you put this meanwhile you sleep and you're going to learn. It's not true, because in that way we can learn anything very easily. It's not like that. You need to do a little effort. Actually, I met a friend from Spain when I've been in Medellin. He speaks 6 languages and very unrelated language. He speaks Arabic, he speaks Korean, he speaks Russian. He was learning Russian when I met him. And
Wow.
Ooh.
yeah, very also he speaks Spanish, English, French, and I think he doing meanwhile he was in Medellin learning Russian. He watched videos and he cried. Meanwhile he was listening. He was also a digital nomad and he likes a lot of things about traveling. He was the thing he likes. So he followed this guy from Russia who say, okay, I'm here in this place. I'm gonna take a beer with friends. So he write this. Meanwhile he was saying it, but yeah, for do that you first need to learn how to write. You need to learn how to listen. And but that writing thing. So for that, I do a lot of dictados, because that help you. Even the people think, but it's boring to write, but that correct your pronunciation even when you don't think about it, because sometimes you read things and you think, oh, I'm doing it good, and when the people talks to you, you don't understand what they are saying, because your ear is not trained enough and the things you are reading is not correlated with the things you are listening. So do the guide, the things you hear helps a lot to correct your pronunciation and your listening, because you are combined and the language is a system. It's not only one thing. You have these 4 things: you need listening, you need to talk, you need to read, you need to write. So listen and write is wonderful to learn vocabulary and to learn the tenses. Also, I have on my channel also some dictation dictados, because it's a good way to pronunciation and to keep the vocabulary when you are listening. So watch a video, but write at the same time. It's very helpful.
I don't think so. Is your YouTube channel is AEP Spanish as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Glass Half Full says, I love learning Spanish, but I ain't gonna lie. For me, it is hard.
That's a hard.
I'm dedicated to learning it and love it and do so improvement, but dang. So why is it so hard? Glass half full. you know so in I didn't learn Spanish in school. I learned French,
French.
and I asked for Spanish, but I think that they gave people the classes based on alphabetical order, and by the time they got down to V for Vincent, they didn't have any more room left in the Spanish classes, and so I got put into French with the people who asked for French. That's what I think, because I didn't ask for French. And I didn't have enough courage to say, I want to change. So for 7 years, I tried to learn French in a country where no one speaks French. And I was living in Los Angeles, where half the population speaks Spanish.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But so after 7 years of French, I speak better Spanish after 3 years than I spoke French after 7 years. I understand Spanish. I understand the way it works and the way you put things together better then I understood French after 7 years, after 4 years in high school and 3 years in college. Is it the way that Laura teaches? Or is it because I'm older and I did really
You
want to
want it.
learn.
Yeah, you want it.
I wanted another language. I just wanted to be one of those people who had more than one language. And if they put me in French, then I guess that other language is going to be French. It wasn't because, oh, it sounds so good and poo poo, joujou, no. That's just what they gave me, so that's what I did.
But I think too is you enjoy learning it. You have fun.
I
I hear you guys laughing, and it's like
That's because you say something that sounds like penis, and I just start giggling, and then she's like, Halisi.
but it
I
sounds
know
like
what you're thinking.
I don't know about all the penis stuff, but yeah, you sound like you're having fun, and that's a big part of it too.
It definitely helps to have a tutor that you like.
It's very important.
But I had, and the French teachers I had, I cannot say, it's allez, vite, 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 which means go, hurry, hurry, hurry. That did not build my confidence. It definitely did not build my confidence. I really, really wanted it when I was 17 years old, but I think as an adult, I don't want it any more now than I did then. I have to say, I was one of those people. I had dreams of living in foreign language and foreign countries, even though I had no idea how I was going to get there, but I had dreams. So it wasn't that. I do want it just as much as an adult, but I think just understanding that I now have the ability to correlate what I learned from Laura in Spanish, what I learned from Elsa in Portuguese, and how it relates to English, it makes me speak my own language better, my native language better.
Yeah,
And
I can see that.
right? Because who remembers grammar from when we were 11 years old?
That's what I've been trying to tell you. When you be so she grills me. We need to have Portuguese today. Okay. So then she goes back and she pulls the verbs out, she pulls the congregations out, and I was like, I haven't been to school in 50 years. I don't remember that stuff.
When I ask him what is the infinitive, he has to remember what infinitive means. That's how much he has forgotten. And so if you are in that situation, give yourself grace and learn the vocabulary of learning a language. Learn what conjugation means. Remember what a verb is, and a noun, and an adjective, and an adverb. Because your tutor is going to be using those words, and if you don't remember what they mean,
Yeah.
that's just going to it's going to make you frustrated.
That would probably make life a little bit easier to know that stuff.
Yeah. And because I never stopped learning, I was doing Rosetta Stone. I don't recommend it. It was good for listening. It was really good for listening, but it was not good. I need to know what the rules are. So if I know the infinitive, like your nephew, I can guess at what the conjugation is.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah, and actually, that as you said right now is very important. Maybe some people think they don't need the grammar, and some people actually don't. Some people they are very good learning, and they really just listen and they can learn. But a lot of the rest of us, like me, we really need the structure, and to know the structure helps a lot. For example, to know if a word has to say is an adverb, that means it affects the verb adverb. It's just so you can say, okay, so I cannot say I do something with this. I am this with this word because it's an adverb. So I just supposed to say it with a adverb with a verb. Same with adjective. I can say this about things, about people, but I cannot say it about a verb because it's for describe things. So it helps a lot because help you to put things together like easily. Because I cannot say you are easily. That makes no sense because easily is an adverb. So it's a thing that you need to use with a verb. So that you do that in automatically in your language. You don't need to think about. But when, as you said, when you understand this in your own language, to learn other languages more fast because they're doing this because it's like this, and then you can, as you said, the correlation in there is easily to get because you put it together. So,
Exactly. When I was in Mexico, I butchered the language when I spoke, but the Mexican people were so lovely, helpful, and patient. Amazing, right? They are. They really, really are. Just good souls.
And they're here. They're like that here too.
They're like that here as
like
well.
here.
Yes.
The kids in the grocery store are fantastic around the corner. English, ebonics, sarcasm, and curse. That's Action VJ.
Okay, then I know 6 languages. So, Laura, do you know what ebonics is?
No, I don't know what ebonics is.
So, ebonics is what, I don't know where this came from, but Black people in America, our slang, some of the things that we do with the language is because that's how it is in a lot of African languages. So in a lot of African languages, they don't have plurals. So we won't put plurals. Or we won't put possessive. So instead of saying that's mommy's house, we'll say that's mama house.
That's mama house. Or you might say, do you know what I mean? You say, nah, mean. If you say that to another Black person in the States, they'll understand what you're saying. It's like, nah, mean.
Yes. So that's ebonics. So ebonics is the Black way of talking. It comes from, some of it comes from the languages, our mother tongues that were passed down, generation.
Okay.
And then, of course, sarcasm and cursing. We know what that is.
Yeah, I know that one.
We can do anything we put our minds to. Yes, Mary W. And situations will force you to learn, like having to use the bathroom in a hurry. Yes, ¿dónde está el baño, por favor?
I didn't know that in Mexico. And I was like, no, I didn't know it here.
Yeah.
And I went to go to the restroom in a restaurant, and I looked at the lady and asked her, do you have a bathroom? And she looked at me. She said, no. I said, do you have a toilet? She looked at me and she said, no.
Toilet, because it sounds like towels.
Yeah, she said no. And then I was like, oh, God, this is going to be interesting. Then I finally figured out what I needed to say. And she said, oh, yeah.
It's the same word in Spanish as in English.
Same, yeah.
So we Portuguese know that Portuguese is hard. It's a hard language to learn. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Thank you, Rui. It is hard. Yeah. I'm going to start doing what Laura said. I'm going to start looking for videos with the hobbies that I like, or with a new dish to cook or something like that, and see if I can start getting more of the words, because on paper I know it, but I know that when I'm saying it in my head, I am not saying it correctly.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. Yeah. It's very common because you pronounce. I mean, we learn to read when we are kids, and it's a very hard process. Learning to read is, I especially think learning to read in English is, I cannot read very good in English. And that process became so automatic. You really don't think about reading. So your brain especially, I love and hate cognates because of that. They are the same word, they mean the same, but they pronounce differently. So when you read it, when your eyes and your brain saw it, they want to say, okay, I know this word. I can say, for example, plural. It's plural in Spanish. So when you saw it, your brain wants to say, okay, plural. And it's not plural. You need to go back and read it again because your brain is trying to do it that fast. It's not, don't to pay attention because at one point it became like that. So it's very, very normal to read wrong the words. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And if you don't know how to pronounce it, it's even worse. The vocabulary is what makes it difficult trying to remember words. So I have to put sticky labels on objects to remember them in order to think in Korean. That's the same thing that I did
Yes, you do.
all in my house. The light switch,
in the office,
the
yeah, everywhere.
stairs, everything had a sticky note with what, microphone, la luz, everything had sticky notes
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that I could remember at least the things in my house. And so by the time I had a lesson in using there is, in my living room, I remember we did that lesson there, what's the dining room, what's in the living room. I remembered it because I could just envision the sticky
Yeah.
notes all over my house. That is a great, great learning mechanism.
I'm trying to get there.
I'm teaching, we have sticky notes.
I don't want to stick sticky notes everywhere.
See, he doesn't want to stick sticky notes. Does he really want to learn?
Yeah, I do.
Does he really want to learn?
Well, everybody
I
has
just do.
different ways to learn. So
Yeah,
if it
that's
works for
it.
you,
I'm putting sticky notes.
yeah,
And that works for her.
Yeah.
It will help him too. He just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So Diane says, I'm teaching myself Portuguese from Babbel. How is that going? Why is beer remind me and an egg masculine? Oh, I know Spanish is the same way. I know. I think all Romance languages have feminine and masculine. But huevos, masculino.
Yeah.
What do you think
Los
of when you think of
huevos.
huevos?
Well,
See, we're getting into the bad jokes now.
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's not the same word in Spanish, but yeah, huevos are masculine. The thing is, we call eggs the part of the body of the male, the men's. So they are masculine, though.
However, eggs are what birth chickens. So why isn't it feminine?
Yeah.
Yo no sé. I don't know.
And it's like, it's not really. The thing is, people, when their language don't have a masculine and feminine things, they think masculine is because they are males, and they are not. They are just ends in O the most of the time in Spanish, and it's not even related with it be feminine or no. Because, for example, a dress is vestido, that's masculine. Also heels, they are tacones. They are los tacones. They are also masculine, and it's a feminine thing. So we use, the women use el maquillaje. The makeup is also masculine, but it's not make a masculine thing. It's just, it's totally, how do you say, arbitrario.
Arbitrary.
Don't have a real arbitrary. It's not a real reason because they are masculine or feminine.
Okay.
Arbitrario.
Arbitrario.
I just learned a new word, y'all. I've started to say Portuguese words out loud instead of in my head. In my head, I understand, but I realized I needed to exercise my mouth as well, I think is what you meant to say. Yes, because other languages, you have to use other muscles in your mouth.
Totally.
And Laura told me that Americans do not move our mouths. And when when they learn English, at least in Venezuela, they practice with a pin in their mouth so that they don't move their mouth too much.
To pronounce better the words, because in Spanish, nosotros movemos mucho la boca. So we move a lot the mouth for speak. And English is more like this. You do like this, and the pronunciation sounds better when you don't move too much. So Spanish is the opposite. You need to say o, u, all these words, and it sounds weird when you don't move your mouth enough to pronounce the words.
And Portuguese is the same way. Although the way some of these people speak is kind of like they don't move their mouth and they swallow.
It's hard to understand people when they speak like that.
It is. That's the question. What's a good amount of time to start language study? Like how many hours per day or week? Ah,
Well, that brings us back to, as an adult, it's very hard to learn the language because we have not much time. I think the thing we need to understand is learning is not the way they teach us in the school. Learning is not sit and write and listen and write. Learning is, especially when you are learning the language, maybe if you are learning maths, yeah, you need to sit and write a little maths. You cannot, but obviously, it depends on how many hours you have. That's the real question, the real answer. If you have 1 hour, so study 1 hour. You have only 20 minutes, study 20 minutes. If you have only 5 minutes during your coffee, start with that 5 minutes. Obviously, if you can learn a language, if you can speak the language the whole day, it's much better. You have studied the whole day. Sometimes I say to my students, say, no, but learn like a baby is better because they are all little by little. If you think about babies, yeah, they learn fast, but not that fast. They took them like 3 years to speak good, learning the whole day, 24 hours. I mean, 12 hours their way. This is not that fast. In 3 years, took you 3 years listening the language 16 a day, and you think that's fast?
Mhm.
It's not really fast. If you study a language 16 hours a day, you probably manage that in less than 1 year or 6 months. But obviously, you don't have 16 hours a day. So
Right.
better is
Right.
you use 5 minutes. Okay, I saw a lot of comments saying they're using Duolingo and this stuff. I started learning. I mean, I learned English in the high school. These 5 years, technically, I learned a language, but you really never speak. But doing Duolingo is a very good tool. Well, this is one of the tools. Also, you need to watch stuff. So things you can do to learn that is not learn. It's not sitting to write and learn. Is you're going to watch a movie. Okay, maybe you don't want to hear it in Spanish, but change the subtitles and write the subtitles in Spanish. Maybe you are listening in English. The next step, the next time, maybe you can little by little start in Spanish with subtitles in English. And in one point, you listen in Spanish and read the subtitle in Spanish too. So this is also a learning part. So how long are you learning there? Yeah, 2 hours of learning technically, because you are maybe not so actively, because as an adult, sometimes we want to just sit and watch a movie and don't think too much about it. But
Right.
but maybe you have the subtitles in there and you read some words. I don't know that word. Maybe that. Also, it's an amazing tool. I think you are using this tool. I recommend you months ago. It's called years ago. It's called language something. It's a purple one. I don't remember right now the name I'm gonna give you. But you can use Netflix with that one, and you can click the words in there, and they gave you the translations. So is this learning? Yeah, you can learn 2 hours watching or 30 minutes watching maybe a episode of a movie or TV show that you already know and you like to watch a lot. So you listen in a different language. So
yes.
how much time? The time you have. This is the only way to start.
Yeah. And you don't want to, if you can, after this, Laura, if you can remember that app to use with Netflix,
I
I
can,
can, I can put it in the description below after this is over. So if you're watching from the
yeah.
future, look in the description below. What are your thoughts? And so, yeah, I started because Laura told me to, and I do what I'm told sometimes.
It's
Sometimes.
language reactor, the name.
Language reactor. Okay. And so I started watching movies in Spanish with English subtitles.
Yeah.
I never really look at, well, yeah, actually, I have subtitles on all the time now. So I'm either watching an American movie with Portuguese subtitles or Spanish subtitles. Always, always, always. Always. And when I watch Spanish, I'll watch some American movies that have been dubbed in Spanish. So I already know the story.
Yeah.
And then I turn on Spanish subtitles because it's in context, right? So in context, because I already know the movie, like Shrek,
Oh, the
it's
Shrek
so
movie is so funny in Latin American Spanish. It's better in Latin American Spanish than English.
and the jokes are Mexican.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and in the morning, they don't make waffles, they make something different.
Yeah.
So, if you're a
Tamales.
Shrek fan, tamales.
Yeah.
So I watch in Spanish and then I put the Spanish subtitles. And so even though that's a little bit more passive, I know that at least I'm getting my brain used to hearing the language. What are your thoughts about apps like Duolingo? I am using that app to familiarize myself with basic words in Portuguese.
The only thing about Duolingo is it teaches Brazilian Portuguese. It doesn't teach
So, Vicky, do
European.
they have a setting for Brazilian Portuguese versus European Portuguese now? Because Rick said it's only Brazilian Portuguese,
Yeah.
and I
When
don't
I
know
looked at it, Duolingo didn't do.
how long ago was that.
Probably about a month or so ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, Vicky, be careful. I would say 90% of it is the same. Rui, if you're still in the chat, if you could let us know. I think about 90% of it is the same, but the pronunciation is much different. And they put a j sound on the D's. So bom dia instead of bom dia, things like that. And then they just have some verbs that are just totally different. It's only in Spanish. Is there an English version? I'm not, Ange, what baby, what are you asking about? Is what only in Spanish? I have the Rosetta Stone in Spanish, unopened, which I purchased 13 years ago.
Whoa.
Is that item still considered good for learning the Spanish language? I think had I used Rosetta Stone at the same time I was taking lessons with Laura, it really would have helped me because you listen and then it has you recreate what you heard, and it will not let you go further until you say it with the proper accent. So from that standpoint, yes, it starts with regular verbs. It starts with the verb to eat, comer. And that's fine, but I need to know the rules. And Rosetta Stone doesn't tell the rules. So I know how to say yo como for I eat, but how does that then translate to other verbs that end in er? And maybe I never went far enough to understand, but that was the problem for me, Regina. So I think learning it with a tutor is better than just by itself, unless you go ahead and look all of that stuff up yourself, which I could have done. This was in the day of the internet, so I could have done that. Why I didn't think to do that, I don't know. Probably because I was running for office and trying to learn Spanish in time to make my acceptance speech in Spanish.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to me. All my friends that spoke Spanish got the class. Easy A, right? Yes. I had a friend who was Cuban. Her dad is Cuban and her mom was like Dominican. She spoke Spanish, so she took Spanish in school. Yeah, easy A. Didn't get enough practice speaking. Okay, here's a question. Is it good to start with Duolingo and Butterfly Spanish on YouTube to build your vocabulary?
Yeah. I think yes. I think anything is better than nothing. I mean, do something is always better than nothing. And sometimes I have totally beginners, people that one day they wake up and say, I'm gonna start Spanish today, and they book and it's like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And they are like, hi, I don't know what you mean. I never speak Spanish before. Okay, I say, hello, how are you? So I think, and maybe this is bad because my business teach people, but I think as you learn a little bit before the first lesson, it saves you time and also obviously money, because you can learn that stuff by yourself. You can learn by yourself, hola, ¿cómo estás? I don't know, basic words. And you really don't need a tutor for that because they are very basic stuff. You need a tutor for build more complicated stuff. You need a tutor for explain things you don't know. I love when my students come and they have, oh, I've been learning for 2 months or something like that, but I have this and this and these doubts, why they are, the reason of they are, what is it. So, and it's also better for the people when they have questions, because they have like a point to go, and also little things that they already know. Of course, it's easy for me to say, no, you don't need to take anything else, just hire me and I gotta teach you all from the beginning, and I'm going to teach you the ABCs. But no, you can learn that stuff by your own, and that save you time, save your money, save your frustration too, because you, being honest, you don't going to learn Spanish or any language taking 1 hour lesson or 2 hours lesson in a week. You need to be doing things by yourself in your daily
Yes.
life. You need to do
Yes.
more stuff. For that, I'm not a teacher, I'm a tutor. I'm there for guide, for give you tools to reply your answers, but nobody can teach you a language. You need to learn it. So
Right.
it's more on you than the other person. So yeah, use any tool that you like, any tool that you find helpful. Right now, I'm learning German. I am not taking lessons yet, and I have this app to, when you unlock the phone, appears a word. So the first thing you show is that, so they show you the word, they show a sentence, and then you can unlock your phone. And I use my phone, I don't know, 100 times a day. So this is a good tool because show you a word. So
I
you
like that.
Yeah, that's
very
good.
basic. Es bastante básico, but yeah, it's a very good because give you some little answer, and they say it to you. They say some sentence, and you unlock. That took you what, 10 seconds? But it's 10 seconds that you are studying, and you do it 10 times a day, so it's okay. It's plus 2 minutes more. Plus you're doing Duolingo, so this is already 7 minutes. So, and you are maybe watching a video about things, 5 minute video. So you already have 15 minutes during the day, then much better than sitting 15 minutes in one way. So 20 minutes split during the day is better than nothing at all, of course. And sometimes better than 30 minutes sitting, writing, and listening. So doing little things during the day is better than one time, and do something is always better than do nothing.
So that app that you use to unlock your phone, is it only German, or do they have other languages?
Yeah, they have other languages. I started using it. I discovered that like 3 days ago. I'm starting right now. The name is, let me show you the name. What it is? But it's also in Spanish. It's actually Spanish from actually. I start learning German from English, but some words somehow like I don't know that word in English either, so I was very confused. But now I'm doing it. I cannot see it. It's in here.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing. So as I learned Portuguese,
This one. Oh, this one. Oh, Wordbit.
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 Wordbit. Okay. So when I learned Portuguese, I put the translation in Spanish.
Okay.
Usually, unless I don't know the Spanish word, but that's how it helps me not lose the Spanish, because I'm hearing Portuguese all day if I leave the house. Sometimes I don't leave the house. Sometimes I don't get out of pajamas. Retired life. So, so Auntie Trey says you're going to get jealous of me.
Nah, I don't think so.
Is Portuguese in Portugal different from the Portuguese in Brazil? Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, Greta. So, and Laura's mom is learning Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah. She's like.
And so my understanding is that because Brazil is surrounded by Spanish-speaking countries for the most part, I believe, some of that has kind of trickled in to their language. And so it appears to me that they pronounce things a lot more like Spanish, and some of their words are more open and rounded. It's not just the syllable that is accented that you hear, like teja when it's ateja, so that's how they would say it here. And I think in Brazil they might say ateja. So things like that, besides the fact that there are words that are just totally different.
But I think
Halisi,
that happens with, sorry, I think that happens with all the language in this continent, you know. It's English from USA is totally different from English to England, or from the Scotland, or from Australia. So sometimes we don't notice that it's weird in our own language, and say some students said it's no, but why Spanish is so different in all the countries? So I reply, why English is so different in all the countries? What is so different from Australia, from New Zealand, and from Scotland is different. So I think it's kind of normal to different. It's different. All the language change depending of the country, and even in the same country, it changed.
yeah, I think there's an evolution
Yeah.
of the language over time. So Action VJ says, Halisi, if you could go back, would you still learn Spanish first? I'm thinking I should start there. Action VJ, yes, yes, and yes. First of all, you live in California. You are surrounded by people who speak Spanish, so you can practice. And like Rick said, he believes it would have been easier for him had he learned or started learning Spanish during the pandemic like I did.
Yeah.
And the reason why I didn't stop, once he convinced me that it was going to be Portugal and not Spain, or some other country in South America or Mexico, I continued to learn, because when I was walking around Lisbon from Google Earth, and I was seeing the billboards and the signs in the stores and all of that, and the advertisements, I could pretty much read them. And so I would say, I don't know, from the words that are used every day, because there are obscure words that you just will never know. But from the verbs and the words that are used every day, I would say 80% of them to 90% are similar to Spanish. They're similar enough that if you're used to reading it in Spanish, you can figure it out in Portuguese. Yeah. You may not be pronouncing it correctly, but you can read it. And so from that standpoint, Action VJ, I'm very, very happy that I started learning Spanish first. Plus, being reintroduced to Romance Latin-based languages and how they are structured. The structure and the grammar are more similar than French, because in French they don't have I don't think they have reflexive verbs. So I don't remember learning reflexive verbs, and I got pretty far. So that's different. The adjective going after the noun, that's the same. But that whole reflexive verb, what do you mean you're doing that to yourself? Don't tell anybody you're doing anything to yourself, especially not in the shower, because we know what you're doing.
Huh?
She got it. She got it.
Is that a reflective verb?
Well, yeah, you wash yourself, you bathe yourself. That's how you have to say it in Spanish.
Yeah, in Spanish, yeah.
Me just don't say, I take a bath.
I was taking a bath and
No, you wash yourself.
You can say it, but sounds super weird. You can say, estoy tomando una ducha, but sounds like translation from Discovery Channel, or from the kids stuff. It not sounds natural. Nobody speaks like that in real life. We say me baño or me ducho. So I wash myself. Yeah.
Don't they say, isn't duche here shower?
Yes, I told you it's similar.
That threw me off when she was telling me, when she said duche here, and I'm like, well, that's not a shower.
What did you think it was? A douche?
Yeah.
So he thought douche was a shower, but see, that's how words are related.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Just like when I figured out menstruation comes from mensual, which comes from monthly. If we had learned Latin in school, my American friends, have you heard of Dreaming Spanish? Is that a show or a program?
Sounds like
or an application? Let us know. I haven't heard of it. Have you heard of it, Laura?
No, no. I never hear about it.
Okay. Okay, so I think we're going to repeat what these tips are before we end, but I think why is beer feminine is what part of my first question. Then she answered it. Okay. Okay, that shows you how far behind we are. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me catch up and see. Here's another question. Any idea how different Portuguese spoken in the Azores is from mainland Portuguese? I hear Portuguese quite often, but mostly from people from the Azores. Rui, if you're in the chat, if you could help Pinky out, because baby, I don't know. I have not heard that the Azores
Azores.
or Madeira is that different, but I could be mistaken. So Rui is still in the comments. If you could help a sister out, that would be great. And then we're gonna. I think this is the last question. I've spoken Spanish since my 20s, but I speak neutral, which sounds bougie at times. Do you know what he means by bougie?
No.
So bougie comes from the French word bourgeoisie, which means like it sounds like you're just, the rich
Ah,
person's muy
yeah,
rico.
yeah.
Um,
Venezuelan Spanish, that is cifrino.
tefrino,
Cifrino.
cefrino.
It's
Citrino.
equivalent to fresa in Mexico. Yeah. Or
Laura,
hijo
¿cómo me
in
puedo
Argentina.
arreglar esto? Hasta mis amigos y familiares se burlan de mí.
Maybe, yeah. Well, it's not something to fix. Fix nothing. And something that happened is neutral Spanish doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's totally a construction. And well, little history about that. The reason because we have this neutral Spanish is because actually because we have a lot of movies from USA. And when you do they doblaje, when they change the language, the doblaje, they change to a neutral one to they can sell the same way in Mexico, in Argentina, and to everybody. So we create this artificial language. And something funny is kids sometimes when they watch too much TV, they speak like that. Actually, my neighbor is my cousin, and sometimes when her daughter was young, she used to say things like I say like sounds like Discovery Kids because it's this. Oh, amigos, vayamos a la colina. Nos estamos divirtiendo mucho. Esto es genial. It's like nobody speak like that in real life. So it's very funny when the kids speak like that. Maybe for that they make fun of you, but the way to do it is as how we said at the beginning, trying to find a Spanish that you like. It could be Venezuelan Spanish, Colombian Spanish, Dominican Republic Spanish, Argentina, Mexico. It doesn't matter. I start use that words. That is very very good. And usually sometimes, and this is very funny because when you use slang in other from other countries, we really love it. We always laugh and smile because it's like oh you how do you know? For example, if you come to Venezuela and you say you are cifrino, eres un cifrino. Everybody's like, how do you know that word? Actually, one of my students once got to, he lived in Washington, and in Venezuela for December, we do a special word. It's like, it's not a tamal, but it looks like it's una ayaca. And people is gonna totally crucify me after this. How dare you to say ayaca is like tamales? But it's just so the people make an idea. And he got to this restaurant. He's a typical American, the typical idea when you think in American, at least from Latin American, blonde guys, blue eyes, very tall, very the typical idea of American we have here in Latin America. So he comes to this place. They sell arepas. This is also um, Venezuelan food. And they have this high menu only for order from the internet. They have it. And he go to the store and say, Épale, pana, dame una yaca. And the guy was like, what you saying? Who are you? Who sent you? Because I said to them to say this, pana, dame una yaca. And he asked for these ayacas. And the people, how do you know we have that? Because it's not a thing to Americans eat. It's not a thing to... So people love it when you use they words, they slang. Even if you don't pronounce perfect, even if you don't perfect, people love it because you are trying. So if you want to stop making fun of you because you speak too neutral, stop speaking so neutral. Start to use in slang. Start to use words that they use. Start to use words that you hear in the movies. But not the movies that when you are watching a movie from translate from English. I mean, really Mexican movies, really Argentine movies, really Colombian movies, from the soap operas vocabulary, more close to the real Spanish and copy the words they use. Because we love when the people use the words we use. It's like, oh yeah, I say that, you say that. It's more so make you closer to them.
And I think that's true with any language that is spoken in more than one country, right? So for example, for Portuguese, I don't know if they speak that differently in the Azores, but and they probably don't have any TV shows, but they might have YouTube videos.
That's the thing.
Right? Can everyone learn to roll their R's, or are some people just not ever able to do it? Have you met someone who couldn't do it?
Well, good news is yes, even native cannot roll. Some native cannot roll the R's because rolling the R is something that you learn when you are very little, and some little kids cannot do it. Actually, my nephew, he's right now 2, and he cannot roll his R. He cannot do perro, for example, this dog. Well, nobody rolls this R like for real. I mean, perro, carro. But the good thing, yeah, some natives don't pronounce, some accents even don't have it. For example, people from Puerto Rico, they delete the R at the end of some words. They say Puerto Rico, for example, with like R pronounced with the L. That's the good thing. So it's not that important. Sometimes natives don't pronounce it. But the bad news is, well, we make fun of the native cannot pronounce the R. But it's not that important. I mean, you don't really need to roll the R. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it don't come. It's like I cannot pronounce some sounds in English. For me, are very hard to pronounce. I think I told you the story when I was playing with our friends. I was saying they are cheating, but I say I cannot pronounce the difference between CH and SH very good.
Cheating.
It's hard. Yeah. I cannot do it very good. So sometimes, yeah, some people really do it. Some people get it with time. Some people not. And it's not that important. Some words change a little the meaning, but don't worry so much about that. And yeah,
my tongue gets in the way.
Yeah, it's just practice.
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah. I think it makes my Spanish sound a little bit better that I can do it. It makes me sound like I really know what I'm talking about, and I don't. The R's are hard for me in Portuguese, but easy for me, right? Because they don't really roll their R's. I guess when you have 2 R's, then you get a little bit of a roll, but otherwise it's more like French.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to wrap it up here at 1 hour and 43 minutes, y'all. But I really wanted to have Laura on for 2 reasons. One, because she's a great Spanish tutor. I know a lot of you are wanting to learn Spanish. And so if you do, then you need to hop over to her YouTube channel, aepspanish.com. You need to go to her website, aespanish.com, and look in the description below for the discount code here. I can put that up again while I'm talking. Let me get that. Where is it? Right here. All right. So I'm going to put that back. I'm going to put that on screen. Or no, I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it back in the chat. So if you're watching from the future and the chat hasn't showed up yet, it's because you've watched really soon. But it takes a minute for the chat to show back up. And so I've just pasted what the discount code is. Of course, it's ourblackutopia. And then you get a 15% discount. It is the first 50 people who sign up who will get the discount. After that, if you're watching a month from now, y'all,
it's gone.
I don't know what to tell you if it doesn't work. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to pay full price. So that's what that is. But so for tips for learning a language, practice as much as you can, at least every day, even if it's only for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It can be easier for adults to learn because we are more motivated, we have a purpose, and we have a goal, right? Whether you're a kid or an adult, It's going to take you the same amount of time to learn a language. If you think about it, we've been learning English all of our lives, and we still speak Ebonics. No, and we still are learning new words, right? Thank you, Action VJ. Yes, please hit that like button. Use the tools that you have. So whether it's Duolingo or Babbel or Rosetta Stone, Memorize, or any of these tools, use them even if it's 10 minutes a day. Take advantage of all of the YouTube videos that are out there, not just videos about learning the language, which I do watch, but also videos in Spanish, in Portuguese, in Italian, in French, in whatever language you're trying to learn about things that you find interesting. So Laura is learning how to sew. And so she's watching sewing videos in English. I think her English is great. If I spoke Spanish as well as she speaks English, I would be very happy. I would be very happy. But, so I like to watch the rap videos in Mexican Spanish, the Mexican rap videos. And I want to learn how to watercolor. So maybe I learn that and I watch it either in Portuguese or Spanish or both. I want to learn these new wall Pilates. So maybe I watch that. Maybe it's cooking. Any of those things that you already like, watch those in another language. Put on the subtitles if they have it. Put on English subtitles or put on that language subtitles as you grow. And that can help you learn.
Also, you can add language reactor to Netflix or on YouTube too. YouTube also lets you to add these special subtitles, and you can mark the words you don't know, and they make you cards to do it.
Okay.
Also helps.
So I will find the links to Language Reactor. I didn't write the whole thing down, and I will put it. Yeah. I will put it in. I know it's in our shared document. Okay. I know it's in there. Okay. So, you put it in the private chat?
Yeah, the private chat is here.
Oh, okay.
Also,
cool.
I also saw somebody asked if the name of the app was the app. I start using this app. I don't know how good it is or not, but it's Wordbit. Also to try to do immersion at home. So the Wordbit also helps for that.
Wordbit is the app.
Yeah. But I have the link here for the Play Store.
Mobile.
Android.
Okay, and then I will put the link. She put that in the chat as well. I wasn't checking, so let me grab that and I will put that in the chat. The other thing that we can do, folks, and that you should be doing all day is as you are going about your daily tasks, think about what you're doing and say what you're doing in the language that you're trying to learn. Either say it in your head or better yet, say it out loud. So I am walking, I am cooking, I am stirring the flour into the gravy. And what I do, like I said, is if I don't know how to say gravy, I will look it up. Also, the other thing that I will do is if I don't know how to say stir, but I know how to say mix, I will find other ways to say it. I am mixing the flour in the gravy. So, right? So have grace with yourself, be patient with yourself. Were there any tips that I've forgotten?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Of course, as you said, it's more about discipline. Just doing it. It's not a magical tips that you're gonna do it in 1 month or nothing like that. Just enjoy the path, enjoy the learning process.
Yes. Right. And don't let language, y'all, please, don't let language be the thing that keeps you stuck in a place that you don't want to be. We feel so thoroughly blessed to be living the life of our dreams here in Lisbon, Portugal. As y'all know, we told you we were living off of $2,600 per month. We could never do that in the United States, not live the life of our dreams, not life of our nightmares, maybe. So if you still have questions after this, you can book a call with Laura if you want to learn Spanish. If you're thinking about moving to another country, if you need to get your money straight, or you have specific questions about moving to Portugal, you can book a call. All of that information is below. This is the last chance to get we're doing the meetup here in Lisbon on June 19th and June 20th. Early bird pricing is still available for about another week. And we're about to relaunch Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence. And then we're going to go to a subscription model. So if you want to be grandfathered in at this low price, you want to sign up now. That information is below before we start releasing new content. And so with that, is there anything else you want to leave them with, Laura?
Well, just don't be afraid to start speaking with people, because that's the main reason that people learn language now. So just start talking. Even if you cannot talk too much, just doing it is the best way to start really learning the language. Is just talk and don't be afraid to do it.
Yes, definitely. And it will open up a whole new world for you. You'll be able to make friends in your new place that are native to that and not just in the expat communities, right? You'll be able to learn more about the culture. And it's a big world out there, folks. It's a big world. And we want you to not be afraid. You can be afraid, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
Just do it anyway.
Right.
All right, y'all. We love you, and we will see you next week. See ya.
There you go.